looking sharp, sir. Thank you. So before we jump in with some questions and some thoughts from the audience, I just want to thank you both for making this happen and the Welders team for creating this space. I don't know about y'all, but I've been in the house and I listen to audio plays now, but I've never listened to them with people before, so it's really great to be out in this nature with y'all about a scary story. We won't belabor this, we know we're outside, but we do want to give a chance to just acknowledge the creators and hear more about the origin story. So I have two questions. I want to know how this story came to be, and would love to hear about the process of creating, producing, directing an audio play. We saw some of the behind the scenes footage, which was amazing, but we want to hear about that process. So tell us about the origin story and then the process to make it happen.
Yeah, well, the story started, I started writing it as a short story, and like a few years ago now, goodness. And when I was leading this playwriting circle for Black women called the Sister Cipher, it was a part of a Black theater company called Fresh. And I was like, what if let me try to see if I could turn this into something of a play. And so I brought scene one to the session, and my fellow writers seemed to really resonate with it, and I was like, I think I could turn this into something. But then I ended up, kind of sitting on the project for a while. Life went on, and it wasn't until I was propositioned to join a group of amazing playwrights to apply to be a part of the Welders Playwrights Collective that I thought that this could probably be a fun but interesting story to take with me into this organization and be able to produce it through this organization. So I immediately called up Ayesis Clay. We had early, going back maybe 3 or 4 years now, early conversations of, I love your work so much, please be a part of my project, please be a part of my project. And she was so enthusiastic and so supportive and so just on board every step of the way. I will say though that the story started out as a typical ghost story. This ghost has her own history and you have to figure out why, the mystery, and then, but then when 2020 happened, I was working on it and I was just like, this doesn't feel right anymore. And also I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I and I have all of these emotions inside of me and I don't know where to put them. And so I decided to turn the play into something to work through those things, and that's what you saw today. So it's kind of, it evolved in a little bit. I don't know, Isis, if you want to talk about how you entered the process as well.
Sure. So Teshonne reached out to me, like she said, and she was like, I have this cool idea about this ghost story, and this cool idea about a ghost story. And I, like she said, I was on board immediately because I love the supernatural. Like that's one of my things. But when she sent me the rewrite, and there was this thread of mental wellness, mental health that was there inside of it, it clicked so much more for me. I have never seen a ghost story in play form about Black women, and then to see this idea of our demons haunting us, in play form. So yeah, I was so excited about it. I was so excited and ready to jump on. So that's how I got in.
I would love to hear more about the audio play process. So give us a little snippet into what that was like, because I have a very short attention span and I was present the whole time. And so how you made choices around sound and the types of voices, right? Like Grandma didn't sound like Estelle, who didn't sound like Ray, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll start on my part of the process, because I think I was only halfway in it, but when I wrote it, I had to adapt so I started writing as a stage play. You know, in 2020, this was supposed to be a stage play. And I made the choice knowing that we would be virtual as a theater collective in 2020 and 2021. I made the choice to choose the format of an audio play because I thought it was something interesting and different. And I knew that, I don't know about y'all, but I was feeling screen fatigue, I was feeling Zoom fatigue, and I wanted to free up our eyes a little bit, and I wanted to open up our ears. And so that's why I chose an audio play format. And so it was difficult. There were things that I took for granted as far as stage directions on a stage, you know, subtleties and how the actor moves to give away certain things that I couldn't really do in audio play. So I tried my best to use the dialogue as a way of giving information. So things like, you know, oh, don't throw her bag over there. That wasn't a line in the stage play because you could obviously see her bag fell, right? And so those little things, to, you know, the things that you have to do when you change from format to format, I had to work on. And I'll pass it over to Ayesis because she had a lot to do with the rest of the process.
Yeah, so this was the very first audio play that I have directed.
Wow.
And
That's some claps.
Thank you. So it was difficult to take a visual medium and make it completely audio. Teshonne did a great job, like she said, with the lines, but there's still those sinews in between that we needed to talk about. And Crescent became, you know, she was great. She was a great resource for that. But it really was standing back and listening, finding those sinews, finding that story. What are we missing? Like, do we need to hear her steps? Yes, absolutely, we need to hear footsteps. We need to know where they are. Crescent, even, we worked together so far as to make a floor plan of the apartment. Like, okay, so she's going here, and this is where the door is, and this is where the kitchen is, and there's steps upstairs to the bathroom and the living area up there. So that as we were creating this piece, we had this world that we can, you know, play in through audio. So yeah, it was that. And then the auditions were, a lot of the auditions I sat with my eyes closed. You know, it's like, okay, I need to hear inflections and not see your face. Again, something very different for me. Because, you know, you're looking at actors, how they use their body, how they interpret, all of that. So that was a tough, a tough process. We actually have Sophia here. Sophia Early.
Yes, hey Sophia.
Yes.
Thank you.
She was the sad spirit, and
Sophia, you were scary. I hear it.
And actually with Sophia, when we heard her read for the sad spirit, because we actually had her read for something else first, and then we're like, you know what, let's have her read for sad spirit, and the choices that she made were like, oh. Yeah, that's kind of spooky. Yeah. So yeah, it was just kind of a pulling back as a director and not using those tools that I would normally have used, and just literally hearing nuances.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And so I want to open it up to the audience for questions, comments, affirmations. You know, what scenes stuck out for you? What resonated? I have lots of thoughts, but I want to make sure we get some more voices. So please.
I have a question. Since it's the first time that you've done this before, would either one of you do it again? And if so, I'd love to be a part.
All right, come on.
So I'm just throwing that out there. First question, second question.
Would you do it again? And are you casting?
Well, I would do an audio play again, but honestly, like, I am so eager to get back to the stage. My plan is so this is going to be, this story is going to be the first of, in my head, the first of three, a part of this greater story. But I plan on adapting this back into a stage play and making it available that way and seeing if we can get it back on the stage. So I'm ready to get back out there, but I am so glad, and I learned so much about how to do it. So now I know I have an idea of what it's like, that now I have this tool in my toolbox now as an artist that I can pull out and feel confident to pull out when I need it. So yeah, I would do it again. Not tomorrow, but I'll do it again.
I would too. You know, we recorded this at Tonal Park, which is not too far. And at first I was intimidated. You know, you walk into a studio, and again, as a theater artist, you know, my play space is the theater, you know, in whatever form that is. But when you walk and you have these boards and you have all of this, it was very kind of intimidating. But it was also kind of fun. I think I texted my son the very first night. I was like, I'm Kanye. He was like, please. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were like, oh my gosh, this is a studio. This is what rappers do. Like,
Studio.
oh my god, like it was so cool. Yeah.
I love that. You have to do like a behind the scenes, like a mixtape, you know, all the things got cut out. What other questions, thoughts that we have about what we heard? Things you want to lift up? Because I can definitely ask about. Tell me about Grandma in that song. Because I come from a Southern Baptist tradition, and I knew it as soon as she started humming it. And it's very distinct, right? Like, it's not Kirk Franklin, and like, it's very much in the crates. So how did that come to be the choice? And was that part of your personal experience?
So when I was thinking about this song, at first I was like, oh, what if I hire a composer and this and that? And then I was like, no, I think I'm going to deal with the song that is known, that I know, that means a lot to me. So in the acknowledgements, I do acknowledge a woman named Annie R. Pitts, and she's actually a woman, she's passed now, she's an ancestor, but she was someone that, she led my youth choir when I was a little girl. I was raised in the AME church. And she's done that well, as far as I know, Auntie Stephanie, you were in her youth choir too. My Aunt Stephanie's right there. Absolutely, yeah. And so she always worked with kids in the church, and she taught us that song. And that was a song that I was able to sing lead on, you know, Sunday when we sang it. And I sang the mess out of that. Like, that was my jam, you know. And it made me feel, and I just thought about that sense of confidence you get. When you sing, you know, and it doesn't have to, when you think about your thing, so for Ray, that song was her thing. That was a thing that she latched on to, or that she can latch onto in moments of despair, right? Of moments of deep sadness or depression. That song doesn't have to be a song for everybody. Everyone, you know, should be able to identify that thing or that person, you know, that can pull them out or kind of remind them of who the heck they are, you know, when they need to. And so for me, that's kind of where that came from. And actually, she's just such a sweet and kind woman. When I moved from Rhode Island to DC to attend grad school to start this new journey in my life, she actually wrote a list of all of these songs that I could turn to, all of these gospel songs that I could turn to in times of, you know, of trouble, or times where I need a boost, you know, and that type of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I still have the paper. She just scribbled them, just a list of like 20 songs. You know, that's the type of woman she was. So yeah, so that's kind of where that came from for me.
Such a beautiful story. Can you take a picture of that list? I don't know, maybe share it. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Share the song.
Make a playlist. I don't know. I'm looking around. I'm scanning to see if there are any. Sarah, are you taking your mask down? No? Okay.
I am.
All right.
A moment that was resonant for me. First, congratulations, Teshonne.
Thank you.
Like, seeing the behind the scenes of all the work that went into this and it coming to fruition, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
So yeah, one moment that really stuck out to me is when the sad spirit was mentioning how, you know, how can I be dead? I'm still here. You see me, you smell me, you hear me, all that. And like, just with 2020 being a year of so much grief, that's a lesson that I had to walk away with. Just because someone's not physically here doesn't mean that they're not here anymore. And that's the only way that I was able to cope with grief last year, with that. So yeah, that was very resonant to me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I see the sad. No, you're a whole person, Sophia. I'm sorry, you're not the sad.
So, hi. I was wondering, because I am obsessed with the moon.
You're obsessed with what?
With the moon.
With the moon, okay.
And I know that like the character Ray was very much like a lot of your influence, but was that Estelle monologue? Like, did you also have like a connection?
So the question was, she saw the connection to Ray and the moon and was wondering, was there a personal connection to Estelle, right? Did I?
No. Do you have a connection to the moon?
You have a connection
Like
to the
Estelle.
moon, like a, yes.
Yeah, I think so. A part of that monologue came from a memory that I pulled on as a child, and I think all of us kind of share this. You know how you're in a car ride home as a kid, you're half asleep, you just look out the window, and the moon is like just following you, and you're like, why is it following me? Like, where is it going? And so I just tugged on that memory a little bit, especially when you're dealing with Estelle, who she's dealt with some trauma, and what do children cling to in those moments of trauma? And I think that's why till this day that character is like the moon sees, the moon is there, and someone who has lived as long as she has, what does she cling to? What is always there? What can never die? What doesn't go away? She's lost friends, she's lost family, what's that one thing that she knows is never going to leave her? So that's kind of where I went through in that process of creating that monologue.
Thank you. I would like to know, who would you like to have listen to this audio play? This goes for both of you. Who would you want to hear this?
Who would I want to listen to this audio play? Every black woman.
Every black woman.
Not saying that every black woman has. There's just something very visceral to me. Like I said it before earlier, being confronted with our demons, whatever that demon is, whatever it is, In Ray's case, of course, it was, her attempt at suicide. But we all have so many, different demons, and finding power to confront that demon, and as Teshonne said earlier, remember who. She didn't say it, but remember who the fuck we are. Excuse my language for anybody who watches F-bombs. So, we're here. We're here. But yes, remembering that and standing in that power of there's so many people that we are standing, who are holding us up. So many ancestors, so many friends, so many loved ones who are holding us up, and sometimes we forget that. And we forget who we are. So yeah.
Thank you. Teshonne, who should listen?
I agree. That was I totally agree with everything that Ayesis said. I really think I wrote this from the standpoint of a black woman, but I think it's important to note that yes, these are black characters, right? And I know that this will resonate with black women, but I think it should resonate with everyone. And I think this play, if you are non-black and you see this play, you see what's happening in this play, I think it's good to note that the universality of certain things, that black women are vulnerable sometimes, that they do feel sad sometimes. And it's not always has to be a think piece about, it's the day-to-day when you wake up as a black woman. It's not like, my black woman struggle. No, it's like, I am tired, I can't get out of bed, I can't find motivation, you know what I'm saying? And those are things that resonate universally. And so I think we should try to create more stories, or see more stories, everyone should, that really tap into the universality of certain things, and not try to pigeonhole us as human beings, that we are complex just as the next group of people. And so that's why I write the way I write. So I think I know it's a cop out to say everyone, but I do feel that way. I really do.
Thank you. Everybody should send the link to buy tickets to 3 other people. So that's your homework. Final call before we land this plane. I know it's late. It's a school night. All right. We want to thank everybody for. Yes,
this
please.
This could pass. I know you're gonna have at least 2 more episodes of this thing happening, which is great. Is Dee gonna come back at any point?
Ooh, you know, I wasn't gonna say it, but here we are. Is D coming back?
You know, some people should just be left.
In the fire. There we go.
Everyone in your past does not need to make a return. You know what I'm saying? Some people should just leave it there, you know.
All right. Let's give a final round of applause for Teshonne and Ayesis and the Welders team for producing and directing and creating an amazing piece of work. You can find you on the Welders website. Have a good night. Talk to your, ghosts when you get home, and be safe and have a good night.
Thank you, Jess, for moderating. Thank you, everyone.